All right, another thing about sailboats. Sailboaters do have the right of way over a powerboat. With, keep this in mind, size being a factor. Size for size, the sailboat does have the right of way, because a powerboat can maneuver faster and get out of the way, where a sailboat can't. They haven't got the maneuverability or the stopping of a powerboat. So I can understand that. However, if the size, for instance, if there's a freighter coming in, or a tanker, or a cargo, I'm just using this as a for instance, coming in, they have the right of way over a sailboat. Because it's going to take them longer to maneuver or to stop. It can take them mile, 2 miles to stop. So the size of the ship does have a lot to do with that right away. But sometimes they don't think about it that way. A couple of years ago when I had the boat, we were coming out of Brantford Harbor at the time. And this is I'm pulling out past the point. A little 17-foot centerboard sail is trying to come out across and cuts right in front of me. Now luckily I'm only doing, like 4 or 5 knots. I'm in a no wake zone. But here's this little boat. Now in this case he would have been wrong, if sailboat or not. Because he cut in front of me so close that I couldn't see him. All I seen was part of the sail going across the front of the boat. I mean, I actually thought I was going to hit him. And then he looks at me like I'm the one that was wrong. I got so pissed. I was getting ready to put on my life jacket, jump in, and tip him over. I mean, I was really that pissed. This guy was so stupid and arrogant, thinking what he did, and thinking that he had the right of way at this point, when in fact he didn't. And even if he did, he was wrong for doing what he did. And he had a passenger, so he put the life of a passenger at stake. I mean, I if the wife was out here, I'd ask her, and she'd tell you. I was getting ready to put on my life jacket and go after him and sink the boat. Just tip him over. The one that sunk, he could have uprighted it, but tip him over. But I would have been wrong. So, but I was ready. Sometimes you don't think about right and wrong. You just think about this guy needs a lesson. You know what I mean? But you have to control yourself. You really do. So, what goes around comes around. So you don't have to worry about it. He'll get his in the end. All right. So we're just about done cleaning this up. Now you spend enough time on the water, and there's all kinds of stories that you have to come up with. A friend of mine who now lives in Georgia, he bought a condo in Georgia, and I think it has a dock. And he did have a 37-foot harbor bridge. But he sold that because he didn't want to have to bring it down there. So they figured, you know what, when he gets down there, he'll just buy something smaller. Because he used to live on it. He was like me, like the wife and I. You know, we lived on our boat. However, he didn't live on it in the winter. In the wintertime, he went home to the condo. Because he had a condo here as well. At the time, you know, when he was living there. But he has since, like I said, moved. But meanwhile, they used to have a, what's it called, a ranker or rinker or something like that. I forgot what that was called now. Which are, they're all right, but they're really not a great boat. They're a good boat, but you know, they're not a great boat. Let's put it that way. And in some cases, I mean, they're a hard ride. They are cheap, but they're not a comfortable boat. They're a hard riding boat. They're not a real good seaworthy boat because they're light. But it's a nice little boat. It's a boat that I personally would never want to own. Well, they had this rinker, or riker, whatever you want to call it. And he lived on it, like I said. It was I think it was a 27 foot, which was comfortable for him. Right? And his wife, you know, she would stay on the boat, she would stay home. Stay on the boat, stay home. And she used to work at a wholesale distributor that distributed wholesale marine product. But meanwhile, they decided they were going to buy a new boat. And this new boat was up in Rhode Island, up inside Point Judith. That's right at the end of Rhode Island, right in the tip on the water. You'll see it if you look it up. And he wanted me to go with him because he wanted to bring this thing back. And he's never really taken that kind of a trip before. So he asked me and Doc. Doc was another old timer. Doc was an old timer at the time. I wasn't. But meanwhile, he also asked Doc. So Doc, Danny, his wife, and myself, we jump in the car, and away we go. And we get up there. I don't remember if it was a rent-a-car or whatever. But meanwhile, we're up inside, and we're going to leave. Well, as we're coming out, we're looking out. We're still inside the harbor. We're looking out, and there's a long break wall there. We're seeing waves killing that wall. I mean, it's really tough out there. It's big. And it's like a miserable, cloudy, rainy day. And it is bad. It's windy. I mean, really. These waves are killing. And we're kind of like out there. We're not behind Long Island Sound, so we're not protected. So we decided to pull over to one of the docks there, the gas dock, which was closed, by the way. And we tied up, because in the bad weather, you can just go over it and tie up. That's part of the old seawalls there at that point. You know, I mean, that's all there is to it. You got to do what you got to do. So we tied up to this gas dock that was closed, and we went into one of the garages there, boat garages, and talked to them. And they said, "Jesus, the weather's not supposed to let up. You know, feel free to spend the night. Not a problem. If you need anything, you know, the store's open." Meaning the grocery store, you know, to get some food, or they'll deliver, you know, or whatever. Well, we didn't have any clothes or anything at this point, which is not a big deal. I mean, you know, what's worse? Going out and sinking, or sleeping in your clothes overnight. But you know what? I just soon sleep in my clothes overnight. But meanwhile, Doc, the old timer, he wanted to get back. Danny wanted to get back. Everybody wanted to go back. Nobody's thinking about anything here except for going back. So I said, well, if we're thinking about it, let's wait a little bit longer and see what happens. But we can see what's going on out there. So it took a little bit of a lull. It slowed down a little bit. So he says, it looks like it's getting better. Let's go. He unties, away we go. We no sooner broke around that wall, bam, we're in 14, 15 foot seas, and I am not exaggerating. Now we're on a bridge, and we're still seeing the waves above us every time we go down. The wife, his wife, Kathy, is starting to get seasick because the boat's rocking like crazy. And you know, we're up on a bridge. And she's never been in this kind of weather. Not only is she seasick, but she's scared shitless. So I says to her, Kath, I said, let's go downstairs. Not that we're going to go in, but we'll go down, so we'll be lower, sit in the center of the boat on the deck, you know, with your back up against the sliders. I says, and you'll be all set, because you're not going to get that much rocking up there, you know what I mean? And you're in the center. And I said, keep an eye on the horizon. Well, she goes down. I go down with her. I told Danny what we were doing, because I don't want him to think I was going down there with his wife for no other reason but to make her comfortable. And which he knew me anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. We get down there, I said, okay, let's just say, she says, well, it's raining now, I'm going to get wet. So she goes inside. That's the worst thing. Well, she is hitting the head like every 10 minutes. And finally, we were able to sneak in behind Fisher's Island. And naturally everything calmed down because we had protection. And then when we came out of Fisher's, we're kind of behind Long Island Sound, so we didn't have as big, you know, we had like 3-4 footers at the time, which this boat could have handled. Well, it handled the other two, thank God. All right. If we lost an engine, we would have been down. Now, as we're heading west, we see a Coast Guard cutter out there, close to, I don't know, a quarter of a mile, half a mile out, heading east. And we would only see them when we came up. Yeah, right? They're going in. Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. So, but to make a long story short, we got back. It was an experience. His bathroom got torn to shreds. All the ceilings popped out. The walls, the tiling on the walls popped off. His boat took a beating. When we finally got back, it took him about 3 weeks or 3 weekends to get the boat kind of back together again. So, and then one time the wife and I, we had a 32-foot Saint-Tropez at the time. We decided we wanted to go to Block Island. Oh, I'm sorry, Martha's Vineyard. So we asked my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, my wife's sister, gee, we're going to go. You want to go? All right, you can come with us. You know, we sleep 4, so it's not a big deal. You know, first of all, Ralph has been on the water a long time. I mean, he was almost born on the water, so it would be good to have him with us. So meanwhile, we go. And nice day. We go up, we pass the Point Judith, and we pass Cutty Hunk, and we're going up the Vineyard Harbor, yeah, all right. And we pull into, I forgot the name of it now, something Haven. And we dock. and we enjoyed the weekend. We're going to leave now. It's Sunday. You know, we're getting ready to leave. We rented a car. Oh, actually, we rented a Jeep. And we drove all along the island and things like that. So we're having a good time. We're getting ready to leave. The sun's shining. Alright. Sun's shining. No clouds. Nice weather. Everything is great. We're coming out of Cutty Hunk. We're coming out of the vineyard. And now we're starting to head west. And just as we start breaking the island, which is also where Cutty Hunk is, you have Buzzards Bay, Narragansett, both passages, Vineyard, and Judith, all kind of like in this one area. And a storm decided to come along. And not only did the storm come along, but it came along on a outgoing tide with a west wind, so it's blowing against us, and it's blowing against the tide. And the next thing you know, we're battling 10, 12-foot seas with this 30, 32-foot Saint-Tropez. It blew the hatches out of the front of the boat. It was a ride, for sure. Like I say, it blew the hatches out. We had a tender with us. It snapped the lines on the tender, and the tender was being, towed behind us at this point. We had it strapped up to the swim platform, leaning into the boat. But the line snapped, and luckily we still had the tether on it, so when it snapped, it just went down and started floating behind us, and now we're just towing it. But talk about a nightmare that was. And we made it over to the point, Judith. Pulled in there for a while and had lunch, and the next thing you know, seas calmed right back down, everything was fine. So, the sea is a strange place. You never know what to expect. You have to be ready for it. Can't take anything for granted. If you own a boat, or you're on a boat, you want to make sure you have an overboard bag, and you have what you're going to need in that bag, including a portable marine radio, because the phone is not going to help you out there. The radio will. So you want that radio so you can talk to the Coast Guard. Strap it or tether it to your life vest. Yeah. Someday I'll go over all that with you. It might be a good idea, huh? What do you think? Alright, I'm done, guys. That's as clean as it's going to get.